Welcome to the first Riftbound Reddit review. Today I've collected a bunch of the best Reddit posts over the last week that I thought I wanted to share with you. And the whole reason I really wanted to get into this video is this post here was the one that kind of inspired it all. Am I the Asshole? Riftbound Edition. So, let's get into it. TLDR, I played in our LGS Riftbound event and knew the rules better than my opponent. Despite reading directly from the rulebook, my opponent and the LGS employee told me I was wrong multiple times. I was laughed at. When I reported the behavior, am I an asshole? So right off the bat, that's pretty fucked up if someone is aware of the rules and literally reading them and being told that they're not correct. I actually don't know how I would respond to that. That's so... intentional ignorance is really difficult to deal with. But let's get into the actual story and see in more detail. So I was excited and nervous to play in the closed deck tournament my LGS was holding. My boyfriend, our best friend, and myself were the only three signed up for weeks. The turnout ended up being great with about 15 players, and I was the only female. Anytime you have to mention that you're the only female in A, a Reddit story, and B, something to do with card games, probably not great, so hopefully that doesn't go too bad. We ended up doing best of ones because of the time. My first round was great. Of course, we had questions, and we would either consult the rulebook, which I had read more than once, or talk to other players to confirm our turn-taking and use of various mechanics was done correctly. It was a 8-7 game, and it was fantastic. The final turn, I took their base they were holding from 47 to 7. Don't know what that means. Maybe the power of the units. Just couldn't get that last 7. We shook hands, and just had a great time. Sounds like a good start. I sat down for my second game, and the guy across from me pulled his hat lower over his eyes so he didn't have to make eye contact with me. I assumed they were uncomfortable with direct eye contact and didn't think much of it. We set up for the game and started our round. On their first turn, they attempted to play a hidden card to their base, which you can't do. I calmly informed them that this was an incorrect play, as hidden cards need to be played at a battlefield you control. Correct. They argued with me, so I offered to read the rulebook about placing hidden cards. He agreed and let me read it aloud. He removed his hidden card after we read the entire hidden rules section, and I even repeated the rule about how hidden cards die when you lose the base. So all this seems fine so far. The guy had a misunderstanding about the rules. We corrected it. Great. We continued playing, and I recognized that this isn't going to be a smooth game when I started scoring, and they didn't let me use an ability I forgot to use. But they hadn't used theirs, and I had passed turn. They were playing to win, not to learn. So, mixed thing on this. In a competitive event, sure, if someone misses something, that's kind of on them. But, you don't have to be a dick. You can be cool about it, especially if you're trying to learn the game. You want the other player playing as best as they can, and, if they're making small mistakes, whatever. That said, on opening weekend, there's a bunch more leniency that you should be giving people, right? The game is still brand new. Give them a few weeks to figure shit out, especially little things like that. And again, just a closed tournament LGS thing. There's 2 packs on the line. We can be chill about this. The game continues, and they are doing many things incorrectly. They tried to convince me that ganking meant they could move my unit from the other battlefield to the battlefield they controlled and apply damage. Nope. Blitzcrank can do that, but ganking sure can't. The worst part is that the LGS employee agreed, despite me reading from the rulebook. Why? How? What? My opponent insisted that damage was carried over to the next turn, but only his damage. So this is a 6-year-old. You're playing Riftbound with a 6-year-old. I know if I play a board game with my niece and they don't win, they do change the rules just like this. So that, if you would have said they were 6 going into this would have made much more sense. It would have avoided all this entire post. At this point, every time I tried to explain a mechanic or take my turn, my opponent or his friend sitting by us would tell me to talk less and play more. What a bastard. I called for a judge a second time, and he insisted the damage carried over, lowering might. So I accepted this, knowing it was wrong, and I played a card that let me return an enemy unit with 3 might or less to the owner's hand. Since I did damage to their unit under this ignorant player's rule, it would have been at 1 might. The judge ruled in his favor because that's not how the rules work. Despite the rules not being followed for his turn either. I'm not given the chance to speak, with the response from the LGS employee being another play more, talk less. This place fucking sucks. Don't go back there. Wow, that's rough. My next turn, I'm up 4-1. I take 2 bases, which would bring me to 6. My opponent said that since I killed their hidden card when I took the base, asked them if they wanted to respond to my play at the base, continued making plays and finish the turn, we had to go back, remove my points so they could play their hidden card. So this guy misses the trigger, wants to go back, but the other person misses it. No. Cool. Then I should have had the privilege to say no, since he told me no earlier. Agreed. He also didn't let me walk back my cards, my runes, to the point where he would have played the hidden card. So he wanted to go back in time, but not allow you to take your cards back or untap your energy. Sure. He proceeds to twist and turn rules until he wins through lying, cheating, and gaslighting to fit his needs. He refused to shake my hand at the end of the match, wouldn't want to shake his hand anyways. I played the third game, but my head was spinning because it felt like I knew nothing about the game. After playing with all the wrong rules, at least this gentleman would speak to me and shook my hand after, even with a score of 8-2 loss on his end. I reported the problem to the LGS staff, who spoke with the opponent. He reported I was highly emotional and overreacting. There's the woman thing that we mentioned earlier, despite keeping my cool the entire game. Am I the asshole, or was this blatant sexism, embarrassment after how I proved how hidden worked, and favoritism on the LGS workers' part for instantly siding with the man who he knew better? Okay, so, several things here. Was it blatant sexism? I would have leaned that, like, the LGS employee was maybe friends with the player and trusted the player knew what he was doing, but, like, the highly emotional and overreacting thing, I think a lot of people associate that to women, so, like, saying that's pretty shitty, and that would lean things towards sexism to me. On top of that, after them being read the rules and still saying that it's wrong, like, I don't even know where you go from there. That's so fucked. I don't know, this just seems like you're playing against an actual toddler, and then everyone around them was enabling it. I personally wouldn't go back to that store, but again, like, not everywhere has multiple stores that you can choose to play, so maybe that is the only option. In that case, like, that's just a really unfortunate situation. Let's see what other people have to say here. So, this one says, "You're not the asshole, and I'm sorry you experienced that. Sounds like you hit the nail on the head with the play to win, not to learn. I hope his type is the outlier in this community, and that you get better playing partners like your first game in the future. Our release event and Nexus Night were both supportive crowds, so fingers crossed." And the reply to that was, "It's like they were playing a game with a toddler, like I said. That changes the rules every time something doesn't go their way. My experience was way better. We had a fair number of femme-presenting folks participating, and I believe everyone was treated well from what I could overhear. Sorry that OP's experience with that player and the LGS was so awful. I don't know what tools are in place for Riftbound yet, but I'd consider reporting the store." Another response, "Just be blunt and say which location. Report to Riot Games directly. Avoid that place in the future. If the story is even remotely true, you are not the asshole. I have yet to meet a female Riftbound player, and sexism around Riot Games and communities is a common issue." That is correct. This isn't a Riot issue, bro. It's a gamer issue. Always has been. People are shitty. If the LGS is not enforcing rules, Riot can and should stop giving them product to run an event. So, I have mixed feelings on that. Reporting them to the point where they stop getting product is kind of like everyone in the community suffers because the store is an asshole. And yeah, it'd be great if the store wasn't able to be like the face of the game in the area, but again, not everyone has other options, so it's just kind of like everyone's being punished because they're assholes. I don't know. Like, it's just a shitty situation. Maybe talk to the other players and have them confront the store, because if you get everyone on the same page about the rules, then you can, enforce them more evenly, and when someone acts up like this, multiple people can call them out for being wrong and being a dick. Our next post is by Jinjos. Asks, "Can I technically cause my opponent to win on my turn through charm?" Before reading into it, yes. So definitely a unique situation, but nevertheless could happen. Format is 1v1. Let's say I have 2 copies of charm in my hand, and I have 1 unit apiece at each battlefield. My opponent is at 6 points. I cast charm, moving one of my opponent's units into a battlefield so I can defeat it. My opponent casts a spell to buff his unit and wins the combat. He would gain a point from conquering, right? Yes. Then, let's say that the exact same scenario happens at Battlefield B. If he gained a point from each battlefield on my turn, would that cause him to win? I'm not seeing a rule that states that you can't gain points to your opponent's turn. All of that is correct. That would happen. And looking through all the comments here, it seems like everyone is on the same page and agrees and aware, so that's all good. Similar effect can happen with Ride the Wind, so just be aware of that if you're playing any decks involving purple or green. They can win on your turn. Next one, just a bit funny. No sim means the whole family has to learn how to play. And we see a little cat playing Riftbound. That's adorable. Notably, we do have a couple simulators. I play on TCG Arena. There's also Pixelborn, there's Tabletop Simulator, so there's a couple options out there. Find whichever one you like best, and hopefully you can get a couple games in there. And unless the cat really likes Riftbound, I mean, it's a fun game, maybe it wants to play more. Next section is going to be a couple different art ones, and we're going to start with an altar for Hextech Ray by C. Klein. So just thought this was really cool, like the rays disintegrating through the actual card frame. That's really excellent. I think this looks absolutely gorgeous. And you see some of the process images here. Just real cool. I would love to play these. These are awesome. Another set of artistic ability is BGE Yidna, who made faction-themed deck boxes. So we have one for Demacia, Noxus, Ionia, Zon, and Piltover. All different colors, all different designs. Very cool. You see on the top of the Noxus ones, you have like the spears and swords stuck in the ground. The Demacia one has the angel wings for Kayle and Morgana. Piltover has all the gears, flowers, and cherry blossoms for Ionia. And then the soot stacks and factories for Zon. Very cool. I think of these, my personal favorite's probably the Noxus one. I think it's just really nice. But the Demacia, they're all just really good. You also see custom point counters here as well. Just very cool. On to the most shady Riftbound release event by far. Not sure if I should report. This is by The Real John Pan. So we have here the promo card package as well as the Origin release event info sheet, which is how everything should be formatted, how players are going to be playing, all that information that anyone running the event would need. So I'm pretty sure this LGS scammed us hard, but I could be mistaken. For context, we had our event. There was about 12 of us for the release event. The format, as everyone knows, should be one structure deck with 2 booster boxes, and then we would play each other, and the more wins you get, the better the prize. Stores should have all received the memo with the picture above outlining the structure. As far as I know, my local game stores both got those, played the events exactly in that way. It was really fun. When we arrived, we were given 4 booster packs instead of 2. I thought this was so generous of the store owner, but boy was I wrong. So the store owner told us that because he didn't know the format the event was supposed to be, he didn't order enough product, and therefore he couldn't run the event properly. Again, that info sheet should have been sent out to him, but benefit of the doubt, maybe not. So instead of 1 structure deck and 2 booster packs, we got 4 booster packs and no structure decks. Never mind, no benefit of the doubt. I was kind of bummed out because I had paid $50 hoping to get a chance to play and win some prizes, but I felt really gross since out of the corner of my eye I saw a table of starter decks marked at $55. Okay, so firstly, I don't know where this person's from. I'm from Canada. Our starter decks were between $25 and $30 when I got them. So having them at $55, and I'm just going to assume they're American because more people. That's like what, double or triple the price? Closer to triple, I think, from what I paid. As well as $50 for the event. Mine was $35 and $40 between the 2 stores. So even the event is way more expensive, and you're only getting the 4 packs as opposed to the 2 packs in the starter deck. I don't know. That's real fucked up to begin with. The store owner is scalping you. The owner then said if you want to play, you can buy the deck or trade the 4 booster packs for the deck instead. What made it extremely worse was that the owner had already scheduled a one-piece event 30 minutes after the Riftbound release, so you were only given enough time to play 1 match if you actually bought a deck and wanted to play. So basically he's lying to them about the products so he can scalp them for the pay and then kick them out immediately to play One Piece. Cool. This is all just super suspicious overall. Not suspicious. Suspicious implies that we don't know what's happening. This is just fucky wucky. You have enough booster packs to give 12 people 4 packs each, so you had enough booster packs for prizes. True. Had you just done the event normally. You also had enough starter decks to run the event, but you said you didn't know the format when clearly there's a memo with the promo cards. You're charging $55 for starter decks that should have been for the release event. You scheduled a one-piece event 30 minutes after the Riftbound release event, so clearly there was never an event that was meant to be done properly. Correct. You gave us compensation by switching our starter decks with 2 booster packs. Mind you, the structure deck already has a booster pack in it, so you really only gave us 1 booster pack in lieu of an entire deck. So we basically paid $50 for 4 booster packs at $12.50 a pop at scalped prices, and we didn't get to play the event. There was never an email sent when this was clearly the intention all along, since you had already scheduled a One Piece event. I've heard many bad things about the store, but I wanted to give it a chance. A bunch of people told me not to go, but I like to give the benefit of the doubt. Not here. Not happening again for this guy. However, after this event, I could see that most likely the owner just had release events to get the promos and more allocation to squeeze out every penny from the players. Probably. I might be overreacting since this is my first TCG that I'm taking seriously, but there's no way this should be allowed. Absolutely not. Craziest part was because the event was done in less than 30 minutes, I was able to get my community that went to the botched LGS event to go to a different release event that wasn't full, and guess what? The event went exactly how it was meant to. The only issue was that it took a long time, but at least we got our decks and boosters and played it properly, and top players got extra booster packs, which was nice. Absolutely wild that the 2 LGS had such different results from their release events. Should I report this? So, while the first story we had, I was kind of iffy about reporting the store, this one, absolutely. The first story could be like negligence or ignorance on the employee's part, and like it just one shitty employee, right? It happens. This is like the owner of the store literally trying to scalp and screw over the customers. I don't think Riot would want their product there, and I don't think that people should go there even in the best scenario. So I don't know, I don't think there's anything redeemable about this store. I wouldn't want to go there to play. I wouldn't want to go there to buy product. And like, it sounds like they have another option for somewhere to go for product. So like, fuck that guy. So our next section is going to be custom cards that I found. We're going to be starting with this set of Fiddlesticks by Long Jumping Award 16. So it says, I've been loving Riftbound, so I decided to make my special little demon some custom cards. And I like custom cards quite a bit. I got a whole set of custom magic cards built for EDH. So I'm hoping we get some cool ones for Riftbound, but we'll see. So starting with Fiddlesticks in the Calm and Chaos domain. Makes sense for him. With the Legend card, Fiddlesticks Eternal Fear. When you play a card from Hidden, stun a unit. Exhaust reaction, give a stun unit -3 this turn. I think that's pretty good. It's sort of in line with the Teemo effect for hidden cards, and mixing it with Leona and Ahri, kind of getting that stun and negative might. I think this is pretty okay. If you're not using a hidden card, then it does nothing, which I think is the way to balance a bit stronger abilities like this. You are getting the stun so that unit doesn't deal damage to you and lowering their might, so it is the best of both worlds here. I think this is just all around very cool. That hidden theme also fits Fiddlesticks really well, kind of him jumping from nowhere. That's good. Let's see the champions. So starting off, we have the Chaos Fiddlesticks, which is 4 energy, 1 power, and 2 might, so very understated. This is Fiddlesticks Terrifying. He has an Accelerate cost, which is in line with him kind of appearing out of nowhere and running at you. Assault 2, so he gets bonus might when he's attacking. Okay, and he has Death Knell. You can put a card from your trash into your hand. They need to add some wording on that. So this has to say, except Fiddlesticks Terrifying. Because it doesn't, you can basically make an infinite loop of this and get one every turn. What was the Yu-Gi-Oh card in the early days? It was a flip effect monster that could bring back a card from the graveyard face down onto the field. Spear Cretin? Spear Imp? Spear Cretin. So if Spear Cretin died, he would go to the graveyard, and if there was another Spear Cretin in there, you could put that Spear Cretin face down on the field. And then when that died, you can grab another one from your graveyard in an infinite loop that would keep bringing them back. This has that problem. Yeah, the card goes to your hand, but it is just infinite resources. I don't know if that's like meant to be the design, but that's probably a little bit too strong. I guess it could be like in line with him making effigies, but I'm not a big fan of that. I like the idea of him like bringing something back. I don't know if a copy of him would be okay though. Let's do the Calm one. So, Fiddlesticks Unassuming is a 3 energy, 1 power, 2 might again. Obviously, having 2 might for a 3 cost, not as bad as a 4 cost. So, they have Hidden, Death Knell, you can pay a Calm rune to return me to your hand, and then when you play me, give enemy units here -1. So this also has an infinite kind of thing, where every time that it dies, you're bringing it back. So both cards effectively do the same thing. One lets you hide it though. I don't know, I think like the theme is kind of cool. I don't like that it's infinite though. So maybe this could be adjusted a little bit. Let me know how you guys would change these cards or adjust them in the comments down below, or what you think about them in general if you do like them. And let's see their signature spell. So we got a 3 energy, 1 power Crowstorm. Exhaust a unit or gear or legend. This turn enemy units can only move to their base, and this is a hidden card. So this is the fear mechanic in League. If it makes it so that people can only run away from you, I think that's kind of cool. Pretty strong if you're doing it on the opponent's turn, right? You can stop them from trying to take over the battlefields from you. It's just pretty good. The only thing that I'm really worried about here is the text on the card. So it says exhaust a unit, gear, or legend. Hidden cards are only able to target things that are at their own battlefield. This might supersede that, as it's just like, how else would you tap a legend? But typically you wouldn't be able to exhaust a gear or a legend, as those shouldn't be on the battlefield. So that might be something you need to adjust. However, if you're just playing this from hand instead of hidden, you can exhaust whatever you want. So maybe that's the intended purpose. Overall, I think the idea is cool. I think it being on a hidden card makes it kind of difficult to parse. Like the top half and the bottom half aren't synergistic with each other. The part that says like enemy units can only move to their base this turn is something that you need to play on your opponent's turn, whereas the top half is something that you can essentially only play on your own turn based on how hidden works. So I like the ideas separately, but together they're kind of janky. Either way, kind of cool cards. I do want to see what Fiddlesticks would be like in this game. Next up, we have a set of Jhin custom cards from Blackberry Proud 8231. Looks like we have alt arts for the legend. We have 1 champion card just in chaos, 2 signature spells, Lotus Spell, a Lotus Trap, and Curtain Call, and then a battlefield. Sure. Notably, he says, these were made without any knowledge of the game. Are these even balanced? Let me know. So I'm expecting no. If you don't know what the game is, so we'll go in with a grain of salt here. Obviously, there's no order Jhin here, and we have 2 signature spells. So we'll start with the legend. We'll see. We have order and chaos. I think that's pretty good for Jhin. And this is Jhin the Virtuoso. When you stun an enemy, deal 2 damage to it. If Jhin is in play, deal 4. Is that good or too strong? So stun an enemy effects. We have a couple in order. I think deal 2 damage might be too much. Maybe this should be 1 and 4. I don't know. I think this could be maybe deal 1 and 4, but 2 might be okay as well. There's not a ton of stun effects in yellow and purple specifically, so maybe that's balanced just by the number of cards, but as the pool expands, it might be a problem. I don't know. I think the idea is cool. When you stun them, you do some damage, and then if Jhin is there, you're hitting them for 4 because Jhin. So, sure. That's fine. Cool idea. As for the champion card, we have Jhin Perfection, who is 4 energy, 1 power, and 4 might. Sure, we have Jhin, that makes sense. When you play me, stun an enemy unit. If no enemy unit is in play, draw a Lotus Trap from your deck, then shuffle. So this is where not knowing the game comes in play. There is no shuffling in Riftbound, typically. So tutoring cards is also off the table in most cases. So this would also need to be something that needs to be adjusted, unfortunately. Lotus Trap is the card he'd be fetching. This is 3 energy and a power. Action spell, stun an enemy unit, then deal 1 damage to it. Yeah, at least Lotus Trap, I think, is pretty cool and interesting. And it's comparable to, what is it, Rune Prison, which is the green one. That's 2 energy, 1 power, stun a unit. So same kind of effect, 1 more damage for 1 extra energy. Maybe potentially slightly understated on this spell, but because you're tutoring it with Jhin, even though that wouldn't be okay, I think that extra cost is fine, especially how it triggers with the Virtuoso. But yeah, that's fine. Let's check out Curtain Call. This is 6 energy and 2 power. Action, deal 2 damage to all enemy units at a battlefield. If they are already stunned, kill them instead. I really like that one. I think that's really cool. It's sort of similar to Kai'Sa's Acathian Rain, where you're dealing 2 to multiple things. It is condensed to 1 battlefield, and if it has some setup through stunning, then you get to kill that unit. I think the spells for this are very good, actually. Just the idea of the champion and the legend might need to be adjusted, but again, they haven't played the game, so that makes sense. The final act is their battlefield. The first time a unit is stunned and killed here, gain 1 point. Sure, yeah, that's not too bad. I think as long as it's relegated to just the first time in general, that's pretty okay. If this was a repeatable thing, it'd be a real problem, though. But yeah, the bottom row, I think, is excellent. The top row just needs some tweaking. Our third set for custom cards will be a Samira champion card by Aromatic Teach 4428. Says, I love this game, wanted to make a custom card for one of my favorite League of Legends champions. I'll probably make a legend and another Samira for the other color too. Let me know what you guys think. I also imagine numbers aren't 100% balanced and could totally be changed. So 5 energy, 1 rune, and 4 might, a little bit understated for Samira Stylish. When I move, put a style counter on me up to a max of 5. That's already very fun. I like that we're kind of doing that Devil May Cry style thing that Samira is known for. Remove 5 style counters from me. Action, deal 2 damage to all enemy units at my battlefield. Ooh, is that can't be too weak, right? So Yasuo Windrider has when you move him 3 times in the same turn, you get an extra point. This one is when you move it 5 times in general, you have the ability to nuke a battlefield that she's at. The requirement's higher, but it doesn't have to all be in one turn. Effect is arguably better than getting a point. I think this is fine. 4 is at the point where it's not so high that they can't deal with it while you're moving it back and forth. Yeah, no, I really like this one, actually, I think. I don't think it would be too bad. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think this is a solid card, and I think it fits Samira really well. Like, that is her style counter into her ultimate, right? Now, the last set of stuff I want to talk about here is pricing in Canada, which is getting a little bit out of hand. So this is by Jason D. Fisher. I've been completely priced out of this game. Finding singles is a nightmare. And this was a couple days ago. It has gotten worse, actually. Prices seem to go up every day. But you see boxes of Riftbound being sold for 320 Canadian. For reference, I got mine at 150 Canadian on release day. So literally double what they were selling for. Even Proving Grounds is 115. I got mine for 25. That's rough. Just more boxes all around 300. They're somehow selling Spirit Forge booster boxes for 250. So they're pre-selling it $100 more than the other box. Sure. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's great. And Jason wasn't the only one talking about that, as we have True Contribution, who's basically saying the exact same thing. We have boxes up to 350 Canadian. I believe this is 401 Games, which we're going to talk about as well in this one here, Life Neutral. 401 Games in Canada increases prices of Rift boxes again, 320 plus tax now. And yeah, this was 4 days ago, so we have gone up. But let's actually see what they're at right now. Yep, there we go. So 350 for a box, but they have 10 or more available. That's great. Isn't that exciting? 401, for those who don't know or maybe aren't Canadian or from Ontario, 401 is kind of like one of the biggest card suppliers in the area, and because of that, they get allocated the most product in the area, and this is like a pretty big region, right? So because they get allocated the most, they're able to scalp in this way because the short supply everywhere else. Isn't that really cool? Allegedly, obviously, allegedly. They wouldn't take advantage of their customers like that. Obviously, this does lead into a separate problem, though. Issues getting cards for regionals. So, Riot hasn't shipped. They were late on sending out their product for those who pre-ordered. I'm not sure if that's still an issue. They don't respond to the ticket. Found a Proving Grounds at eBay, but they couldn't sell it to me. Card shops reserved for themselves to scalp on eBay. Guess I show up and hope the box I get the premium ticket is magically loaded with enough to somehow make a deck. So, this is a pretty big problem. I got pretty lucky. I've managed to put a deck together for the Houston Regionals. But, like, if you can't get supplies and you needed to buy the ticket for the regional before the actual game dropped, and those tickets sold out almost immediately, so, like, you needed to buy it ahead of time. You didn't know there's going to be a supply shortage for the actual game, and now you need the cards to go to the event that you paid. In this case, he got the premium ticket, so $300 for. What do you do? Like you said, you get one box there. I know for a fact that you can't really build a deck, a functional deck or a good deck out of one box. Maybe get an okay one, but you're going to be missing a lot of stuff. I've opened 6 boxes, I think, and I have multiple decks, but none of them are perfect. Like I'm still missing singles from each one, right? So this kind of rough. On the other hand, though, this is something that I saw get posted just today by Fisherman New. This says, my LGS got 5 more boxes today. Anyone buying those insanely scalped boxes due to FOMO needs to save their money. I'm hoping this means that stores in general will be getting more product sooner rather than later, because like I said, we're now 3 weeks out from the event, and it would be nice to be able to round out some decks before then, right? But yeah, this has been our first Riftbound Reddit recap. Let me know if you enjoyed. Let me know which custom cards you liked most and how you changed them, and your thoughts on any of the things we covered today. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.